I didn't record the first four, and what I thought I had the perfect explanation. I didn't record it because no, I recorded it, but I didn't record the voice. Now I will be recording the voice. Um, I believe. Okay, this is what I think dimensions are in the simulation. It's pretty simple. It's probably gonna be really quicker than my 15 minutes and other minutes I had on the other ones, but I didn't record the voice. Now the voice will be recorded. Dimensions is basically the simulation painted over another simulation, or if you would like, a piece of paper over another piece of paper over another piece of paper over another piece of paper, and each paper is different or possibly the same, which, oh my god, good thing I fucked up on the last last 30 minutes I've tried to record this, because now okay, I'm gonna be quick. I have to be quick on this because I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Parallel dimensions, multiverse. I just came up with that right now. Multiverse are interchangeable to the simulation. And the reason how I just came up with that is because I said paper over paper over paper over paper, and I said they could be the same or they cannot be the same. They could be, you just hear me do the whole spiel. But as I was thinking of that, because obviously the parallel, it's the simulation basically, as I said, paper over paper over paper, and as I mentioned, it could be the same or it could be opposite, it could be, recall. So, but you get the idea. So, what layers this recall? Okay, so the universe, that's consciousness, that's God, the universe itself, or whatever it's called, black matter, whatever the universe is, God, consciousness, souls, whatever, that black thing that expands his space, that's right there. I go with consciousness. Above that, souls, boom, boom, boom. Above that, matter that probably occupies the soul realm, and not like stays there, but you could just kick it out. But also, I mentioned that the matter is big, the atoms and all the little things that creates this world, like electrons and neutrons, whatever, all those little scientific stuff. I think it's so condensed in like a big blob of clay that you can mold anything in front of it. So that's what say, like, if you had a T-Rex walk in a certain spot in another dimension, it could be a house, it could be the same T-Rex, it could be a T-Rex with no foot, it could be aliens, it could be whatever. But ultimately, I think that matter will be it could be molded in any way because it's so condensed and whatever. Or it could be something else. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The idea is this is what part of the reality. Probably that's not real. That's like more of the physical. That's the physical. Reality will be souls in that little realm where all those souls might be at. And above that, above the physical will be the simulation, and you could layer simulation with different other simulations. So, and that's why I'm thinking the multiverse, and not only the multiverse, you could just, because the parallel universe, parallel dimensions, multiverse, it's interchangeable to the simulation, because the simulation is the parallel, simulation is dimension, simulation is the multiverse. And basically just papers upon papers upon papers upon papers, and their drawings are different from all each other and stuff like that. And I guess the best example you could put is Stranger Things. I can't see if I made this recall because this is the third take. But Stranger Things, there's a point in the show where the real world, I guess the mom was looking, I forgot how it goes, but either way, on the wall, there's like, I think it was on the wall, there's this light, Christmas lights, and it made up a word or something like that, or blinked or some shit like that. And it was because of something on the other, I guess, dimension of what is it called? I think it's called the underworld or some of the upside down world, but it's like all grimy, like Halloweenish, like dark and slimy, and like creatures live under there, like alien creatures live under there. And I think that's an example you could look at and say, oh yeah, I get what you're talking about, but that world could be entirely different. That world, it could be like the regular world, the upside down world, or it could be an alien world. And it doesn't. And that's where you could get the multiverse, where you could have you could have a paper with the same thing, just fucking expanding a million or billion times of different scenarios, and above the and on like in between those papers, or ones about this Earth is an alien planet with zooming all over and stuff like that, or it could be a parallel of the Earth, what do we know now, like Stranger Things. It could be different things, but the idea is the simulation is those things that paints over it, over the physical soul and consciousness, or however you want to label the things before that. And I think also, like that, as I just mentioned, the Stranger Things in the Christmas lights, you could enter it. There's some conspiracy theories about aliens are being interdimensional beings, and I think that's what it probably is. They're probably able to go from this paper to another paper with ease, and they could do that. And I just think that's kind of like, I think the simulation could just really just, could just explain a lot. Like as I said, it's interchangeable. Those other words, multiverse, parallel, and dimensions, are interchangeable to simulation. The simulation is basically that. Everything you think of, that's what the simulation is, and it's just a paint over what reality really is, and so forth. I'm just trying to remember what I said too, and because it was like 11, I think it was 15 minutes, and it could be a lot of us, and like empty space, but I think I pretty much summed that up. I think that's what the dimensions is. Oh, I think yeah. It does not really it doesn't really interfere with that. I think the astral simulation are different. Dimensions, which is simulation, are different. I think simulation / dimension is just it's nothing. But I think it's the astral plane. I think it's called the astral plane, where you go to soul, physical, and I forgot the other physical other planes. But I think that's where the soul finds its harmony, where it finds its peace, where it finds its God. And I think dimensions, simulation is it's a ladder, but it's a ladder of different ideas, and you could climb that, but it'd be endless. It would be pointless. because there's other than finding the truth to where to get back to, which probably would be the soul road. I don't think there's really much to do that, but to climb, unless you're trying to find answers to get there. And I just think unless you're trying to find, travel different dimensions, different simulations. But I think fuck. I think it was a bunch of Oz. I think that's why it was 15 minutes. I think it was a bunch of Oz. I cover simulation is a paint over what reality is, and dimensions and stuff like that are basically simulations. It's just interchangeable. You could use it interchangeably in either context. Because those things are kind of different. I think simulation is all those in that definition, and whatever. I think that's it. Simulation, dimension, layers upon reality, physical, and souls, and recall. But I think that's it. That should be it. Okay. Hopefully. If not, fuck. And hopefully this records. Oh yeah, I forgot. It wasn't in any of my week up. It was a thought I had earlier when I was thinking about this thing earlier. It was a thought I had. It was I think there's some people who could be stuck in two different dimensions or simulations, which is like a schizophrenic person. Now I understand that that's a legitimate medical issue and stuff like that, but there's a conspiracy that maybe this person is able to see, like how there's some kids out there who could, when they're kids, they could see ghosts or something like that. And we all know about that. There's like kids who see ghosts, but as they grow older, they no longer see ghosts and stuff like that. I'm thinking, what if they're tapping in another dimension? And I'm thinking about the schizophrenic people, which is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. I heard this medical issue, that they're seeing what they are seeing. They're actually seeing. And my thought right now is, what if that's a creature that's layered upon our dimension? And you know how I mentioned like a bunch of papers layer upon layers, and he's able to see that paper in that dimension bleed into our dimension, which already is bleeding into our dimension because it's stacked upon stacked upon stacked, and he's able to some people who has that is able to see. I think there's a chance we are able to. There's some people who are in between dimensions, are able to be in between dimensions, or have that simulation in their heads while being in our simulation, while having little fragments of that simulation still with them. And it could be that person being in that simulation and coming down to coming to our simulation, and still have the remnants of that simulation inside their brains or their souls or whatever consciousness, and it's little fragments bleeding into this simulation. But even at that, I had that thought like way back, because I don't know why. I think I mentioned to with Joe Rogan. He mentioned that, and I'm like, oh shit, we had the same thought. But I think I had that in my mind, and there was a movie. What's his name? M. Night Shyamalan. He made a movie, The Village, I think it's called. Not The Village. Either way, I was when I was watching it, and he had somebody with schizophrenia, and you know how his work is. I didn't think if I'm right, that was a connection. No, because I thought it was going to be a connection to a certain movie, a certain franchise. Yeah, within within his catalog, and as the movie was going, I'm like, he's gonna do a dimension, because I already had that in my mind, so that was already brewing in my head, and I'm like, as I was watching the movie, I was like, he's going to. This guy's gonna be a dimension jumper, and he's gonna, something is gonna, like, oh, this guy is able to, jump back and forth different dimensions, and he didn't. They basically just old people, crazy old people, and but when I'm so upset because he's so into that stuff that I thought he would have went there, and it turns out when I wanted to do some, because I did a little blog, like a review of it, and I was like, I wanted to do a little more research, so I looked into it, and it was like, yeah, he had that idea, but he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to keep doing what he was doing with his movies, which is make it supernatural or something like that. I don't know, but it was like that. I think that was I think because I was gonna use a different example, which I was gonna use people who could see like different colors and stuff like that, but I think maybe the schizophrenia might be a better example. It's a disease, not a conspiracy, but a disease or whatever, a medical issue, whatever it may be. But I think there could be people who have experienced one simulation and decided to, and found themselves in this dimension, and fragments of that simulation is bleeding into the simulation they are in right now. And I think schizophrenia, or whatever case may be, whatever vehicle is doing that. But that, I wanted to add that, so it's going to be a weird ad. I'm going to add it after the other one, but this is the final goodbye on this topic.